Dr. Pankaj Goswami, can you hear me?
Sir?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Now the meeting is active.
Perfect, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
so just wait 1 or 2 minutes. Let me check how many persons has joined.
Okay, sir.
Then we'll start. Dr.
Yeah,
Dangwal is not there, so that you can start it straight away. Just wait for a minute. Let me check.
Sir? Am I audible?
You are audible. You are visible also.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Just hold for a minute. Let me check the number of students. Then we will proceed.
Okay, sir.
Mathur sir, are you there? Hello.
Hello.
हाँ सर, कितने हैं? How many?
Good morning. Around 50 students have joined in.
Okay, so we should wait or we should proceed. I mean, maybe we can wait for.
We should proceed because everything is time bound.
Yeah. Just wait for a minute.
Okay.
Let the others come because they are switching over from Honorable VC's address, and address is still on there.
Right.
Mathur, sir?
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. सर आपका कैमरा अभी ऑन नहीं है, आप ऑन कैमरा ऑन करके स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं.
हाँ, कैमरा ऑन है सर. ये लीजिए, कैमरा ऑन हो गया.
You can start anytime you.
Okay, sir. Okay. My slide is visible, sir.
No, not visible. Just share your slide.
Okay. Is it on screen, sir?
Yeah, now it's visible. Put it on presentation mode. No.
It's on presentation mode, sir.
Yeah. So shall we start now?
Sir, as you permit, sir, I am ready.
So very good morning to all of you. I welcome you all, dear students, in this session of which is dedicated to technology as an enabler for effective learning. There are two parts in this session. The first part is use of e-content for better learning experience. And also we will discuss various ICT tools for teaching and learning and assessment that we have adopted at MIT Lucknow. This session will be conducted by Dr. Pankaj Goswami, who is a senior faculty in MIT Institute of Information and Technology. He will apprise you with the ICT tools that we have been using in our system, and he will show you 2-3 PPTs which were prepared and recorded. The one PPT is of our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor. He will let you know about the system which we have been using in our teaching and learning process. In addition to that, one PPT based on ICT tool uh, which was developed by Dr. Baira Reddy, MIT University of Uttar Pradesh, Noida. He is Dean Academics there. And one more tool by Dr. Andrel Day, which is based on the different types of learning and ICT tools. So request Dr. Pankaj Goswami to please proceed.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for introduction.
And please record also.
Okay, sir. Sir, recording.
Recording is not possible maybe on this platform. Okay, you can go ahead. It is being done centrally.
Okay, sir.
So recording is on by default.
Right.
Okay, sir. I checked it. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for introduction of this program of this session. Good morning, all and all those who are present in this virtual platform of Orientation 2020 program for undergraduate for MIT University Lucknow campus. Respected C6 sir, respected Pro Vice Chancellor sir, Professor Dr. Sunil Dhaneshwar sir, respected Vice Chancellor ma'am, Professor Balvinder Shukla ma'am, respected Dean Academics Professor Dr. Rajesh Tiwari sir, and my dear colleagues and students. You all are you have joined for the undergraduate program of the University Lucknow campus. My heartiest welcome to all for this important session of orientation program of undergraduate. This program is actually designed to demonstrate about the technology as an enabler for effective learning. How the learning can be effective with the use of information technology and other technologies as well. Where human learning is concerned, it can require the human to survive. It requires human live and work in dignity, to participate fully in development, to improve their quality of life, to make informed decisions and continue learning for that. So learning is in the core of yours. You all are from UG undergraduate, so you have taken admission in MIT University in different undergraduate program. Your objective of learning should be strengthening your knowledge, practice to perform, and research to create resources. Even though in MIT University offers you the world-class infrastructure. If I'm talking about the world-class infrastructure, it means in different sense. The infrastructure, which is faculty as a resource person, digital libraries are ready for you, excellent IT infrastructure and support. Nowadays, you are observing that IT infrastructure is now become a backbone for teaching and learning process. At present, we are connected through this information technological platform on MS Team, Microsoft Team. So there are many other platform also, which is already recommended to use it and make your learning comfortable and easy for you. We have planned for the remote classroom here. Very soon, you will observe that we are moving with the different platforms of remote classrooms. We have signed an MOU between the IIT Delhi for the virtual labs. This is very newer concept where we may use labs 24/7 as per your comfortability. You may use the labs, especially for science and technology students. They may use They are whether they belongs to mechanical engineering or belongs to biotechnology or from the civil or chemical science or the computer science. They all may use labs sitting at home. Just use your laptop and desktop. So we have provided such kind of infrastructure for you. I hope that soon we will meet in person inside the campus and the situation of pandemic will be over and we will move to the normal state. But remember one thing, the normal stage what we achieve, this will not be the same normal as we were. It will be a new normal for everyone, for students and for the faculty as well, for the management as well. So we have to wait for it, what will be the new normal. At present we have already launched for it for the new normal state. Now this session is comprising uh, the agenda of few video lectures. This is already recorded for you. This is especially designed and recorded for you. The technology as an enabler for effective learning. There are two components. First component is use of e-content for better learning experience. How your learning experience will be more redefined in the way that how to grasp more things out of it. So e-content, you know better, there are e-contents as floating around the web, but how to get the better content about it, how to learn better from it, this we will give you the concept how to get it in and utilize in a better way. Second lecture will be on the various ICT tools for teaching, learning and assessment. There are two sessions in this orientation program of this enabler, technology enabler. And here is the total agenda. Where are the speakers of this session? Professor Dr. Sunil Dhaneshwar sir, Pro Vice Chancellor, MIT University Lucknow campus. The first session will be of him. He will deliver his session. The second session is Dr. VJ Baira Reddy, Dean Academics, Quality and Accreditation. He will demonstrate and he will say about the how to indulge with the good quality and how to achieve the learning. And third session is of Professor Andrew Day, Director, MIT University, Online Education. So we especially recorded these lectures for you all, for your benefit, how to enhance your learning. I'm just playing one by one these videos, and if you have any questions, any query, just give your questions on your chat box. We will try to resolve there after the end of the session. Okay, so I'm just moving towards the first session, first lecture. Gaurav sir, please confirm that is it visible?
Visible, sir.
Is it visible, sir?
Visible, yes.
Okay, and please confirm the audio also.
Dear students, welcome to MIT
It's okay,
University,
sir.
Okay.
a university which is known as research and innovation driven university. We are using the technology to its maximum purpose. You would be surprised to know that 16th March it was decided that the campuses will be closed, and from 18th March we started online classes. This was possible because the founder of MIT University, Honorable Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, our Chancellor of Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Atul Chauhan, Chancellor of Amity University, Rajasthan, Dr. Asim Chauhan, who is also the chairman of the Lucknow campus, and our very dynamic Vice Chancellor, Madam Dr. Balwinder Shukla. They have adopted technology in such a way that our students did not face any break in education when this pandemic hit the country and in-person or on-campus classes were closed. I'm here to speak about how technology has been utilized to enable the students for their learning. My two other colleagues, Dr. Baira Reddy, Dean Academics, and Dr. Andril, who is the Director of our Distant Education, they will be speaking in detail about the different technologies, different platforms which are being used for this kind of virtual learning. I'll speak in general about how this technology has become very helpful for our students and our faculty for teaching learning processes. If we go back 20 years, around 2000, hardly people had laptops. There were no iPads. Most of the people were having no iPads. The mobiles were also not those kind of mobiles, smart mobiles, which were technology savvy. And therefore, this online concept in India did not take place, though it was there in the Western countries because they had the infrastructure. By 2010, the number of laptops available with the students, faculty increased, internet speed increased, and it was possible that as per AICD guidelines, smart classrooms were developed and use of technology started coming into the teaching learning process. But also that at that time it was restricted only to use of YouTube videos to be shown to the students. Today, there are so many platforms available. I think before February, hardly we were aware of Zoom, MS Teams, Cisco, and all other kinds of platforms which can be used for teaching learning processes. Till that time, it was said that the teaching was passive teaching, where in a classroom, the teacher used to deliver the lecture and the students used to attend that lecture and take the notes. This passive teaching could not cross the classroom. It was restricted in that classroom only. However, with this use of technology, now the classroom has increased in size. It has become open. A student in India can attend a webinar, seminar, lecture of a Harvard University professor. It is possible. During this lockdown, we conducted more than 2,000 webinars, guest lectures online. And right from Nobel laureates to very distinguished academicians, research scientists from India, from outside, all were invited to deliver their lectures. This was only possible because of the technology which is now existing. This technology is aptly supported by the internet now. With the 4G, it is possible that on time, in real time, a lecture delivered anywhere in the world can be attended by anywhere in the world by anyone. This has helped us in inviting industry people, which is now the need. Government has issued the new education policy. It says that more and more industry people should be invited to deliver their lectures so that the students are industry ready. You will be happy to note that Amity University has adopted Education 4.0, which is in line with Industry 4.0. So now it is even more important that this kind of virtual teaching learning process be adopted. I understand that you all are interested in joining the campus physically, not by virtual. It will happen as the signs are coming in, most probably from October or November at the most, the in-campus classes will also start. But we are not sitting idle that time. We are utilizing this time for your online teaching learning process to continue. And as a part of this, you are attending this orientation program also online, which is otherwise a in-campus program. When my two colleagues will speak with you, you will come to know how technology is being used for this modern way of teaching. During this lockdown, our all faculty has developed e-content, which will be uploaded on our portal Amazon, and the students will be able to access that learning teaching material. The classroom teaching will take a different turn now. It will not be a passive teaching where a faculty is teaching you and you are all sitting idle. Now it will be more of an interactive kind of teaching learning process, where because you have been already given the teaching learning material, you are expected to read it, come prepared for the lecture and interact during the session. Earlier, it was not possible to conduct quizzes or give assignments online. But now everything is possible. You can have MCQs, you can have quizzes, you can have assignments. Everything is possible to be done online. You will be surprised to know that the last time the examination material was scanned and uploaded on the laptops and desktops of the faculty, and they did digital valuation. So Amity University is not behind anything which can be used for the betterment of the learning process for the students. We are committed for that. Although we would like you to come to the campus as soon as possible, but till that time, we are using this technology to the fullest and making it sure that your learning experience does not get affected in any way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Dr. Sunil Dhaneshwar, sir. He has given his view about the online learning and the progressive learning. Now I'm moving towards the next video, which is shared by Dr. V.J. Baira Reddy. He is the Dean Academic Quality and Accreditation. Gaurav sir, please confirm it is visible.
Now you can run. I can see meeting with Geeta Kothari.
Okay, sir. Is it audible also? I've already played.
My dear students and respected colleagues.
Yeah, it's audible. Go ahead.
It's such a pleasure to have you all back to the session on use of e-content for better learning experiences. I'm Dr. Vijay Baira Reddy, Dean, Academic Quality and Accreditation. Just before this session, our Pro-Vice Chancellor of Lucknow campus, Dr. Daneshwar sir, gave you all an idea as to how soon we shifted from face-to-face platform.
Dr. Pankaj Goswami, you are on mute.
Sir. Please, sir.
Audio is not clear.
Audio is just a moment, sir.
You may ask someone else also. Maybe I have some problem.
Anybody else who is facing this problem? Audio video is okay? Gaurav sir?
No, audio is not coming.
Okay, okay.
Maybe reload it.
Sir, I'm just replaying it.
Yeah.
Please confirm, sir. Now audio video.
My dear students and respected colleagues.
Is it okay, sir?
It's such a pleasure to have you all back to the
Okay,
session on use of e-content for better learning experiences. I'm Dr. Vijay Baira Reddy, Dean, Academic Quality and Accreditation. Just before this session, our Pro-Vice Chancellor of Lucknow campus, Dr. Daneshwar sir, gave you all an idea as to how soon we shifted from face-to-face platform to remote learning platform, that too in a matter of 2 days. So to build on that, to give you a little more of a context about how we've been foraying into this area of remote learning, I'd like you all to know that over the last 3-4 months, we have quietly created a robust remote learning infrastructure, which has enabled us not only seamlessly move from face-to-face to remote learning, but create excellence in remote teaching, remote learning. So with this preliminary note, let me set the agenda for the session. This session initially in the next slide onwards takes you through flipped classroom. Or what is this flipped classroom? I'm very sure you all students would have been thinking, if I were to be the teacher, if I were to teach this particular session, I would have done it so differently. I would have done it from this perspective, that perspective, so on and so forth. This probably is your best opportunity. This probably is your best chance to do that and do that in the flipped classroom. A part of flipped classroom is what you'll be going through as part of remote teaching, remote learning most of the semester. And flipped classroom is a classroom which is run by students rather than run by the faculty. And the whole discussion that happens in the class is led by the students. Teacher would only facilitate the discussion, clarify the questions that the students would have, and add on to their understanding. So this is your best opportunity to flip the classroom. You take control over the classroom and run it the way you want. So that's about flipping and the flipped classroom. Flipping the classroom involves 3 important steps. The first one is the pre-read material that's going to get hosted on the learning management system, LMS. How do you approach the pre-read material? What are the things that you need to consider before going through pre-read material is something that I'll take you through in detail. Post that, during the session itself, I would also like you all to know as to what would be a responsibility in terms of taking the class to a desired state of discussion where you can maximize learning. And after letting you know as to what are the things that you need to do in order to maximize learning during the session itself, I would also like to let you know as to how post-session you can build a robust learning system through peer learning, and how such peer learning could happen, what are the platforms, so on and so forth. So this is pretty much what we'll be covering in this session. So without much ado, let me move on to the first part of the session. That's flip and its 4 pillars. One of the very, very important things actually that the flipped classroom does is it addresses something called learning breakdown. You must be wondering, what is this learning breakdown? In fact, there's a little research context to this. A lot of surveys which were conducted as to what was the major impediment and what actually is the major impediment in face-to-face learning. And the major impediment that researchers throughout the world, across the countries, found was something called learning breakdown. It might sound a little alien now. Let me explain this to you and you'll all be able to relate to this learning breakdown. Learning breakdown is a concept where you attend a class. Let's say this class is 30 sessions long. 4 sessions you understand everything. And in the 5th session, you've not been able to understand what the faculty has been able to convey to you. And that is when the learning breakdown happens. And the learning breakdown is not that it happens in the 5th session, but whatever happens in the 5th session kind of cascades into all the other sessions. So it's on account of that one session, the 5th session, you lose out on learning on the remaining 25 sessions and 24 sessions. And that is what is learning breakdown. And learning breakdown, as I said, could happen in the 5th session, could happen in some topics, could happen in some areas of learning or some aspects of learning, and that would kind of cascade to all of the other areas that are related to the point where the learning breakdown happens. So the long and short of this whole context of learning breakdown is that flipping the classroom, flipped classroom, where you have the onus on starting the class, onus on taking the class in whichever direction that you think it should be taken, is that it addresses this major impediment to learning breakdown. That's essentially because learning happens in a flexible environment. What do I mean by learning happens in a flexible environment? Learning happens at your own pace. Let's say you're doing some topic and you figured out that a notion, a concept, or a particular application you've not been able to understand, you can just pause there, go back, and now look at whatever you did before getting into that concept or before getting into that application. Be thorough with whatever precedes it, and then approach that again. And when you approach that again, you can easily overcome that learning breakdown, and you can actually ensure that the learning is seamless, continuous, and it doesn't break down. So when we are learning in the flexible environment, the whole idea of flip helps you to avoid learning breakdown. Not just flexible environment, even learning culture, intentional content, and professional educators. All of this would also help you in avoiding learning breakdown. So what is learning culture? Learning culture is that the teacher is not making the class. The teacher is not coming out with a framework. Let's say I'll start with introduction and then go to this and then go to something else and wind the class up with some other thing. The class would be the class culture actually would be set by you, and you create the class, you make the class, you set the pace of the class, and not just that, you challenge the facilitator. You challenge the facilitator based on whatever pre-read that you've done in the flexible environment. So that challenging the facilitator is not so much actually challenging the facilitator, but it's actually maximizing learning. And that maximization of learning happens through a different learning culture, a learning culture where students set the pace and students take the entire contours of learning that happens in that particular class. So that's about the learning culture. And then you have something called intentional content. And the intentional content is actually intended for you to learn on your own those lower levels of learning for which you would otherwise have had spent to otherwise would have had to spend an hour learning that elementary levels of learning. And the content is intentional again in the sense that it'll challenge you, it'll challenge your creativity, it'll challenge your curiosity, it'll challenge your thinking ability, so that you get those questions and maximize learning. So the content here is intentional. And professional educator would mean that the educator is going to be the Education 4.0 educator. He or she, our colleagues, including myself, are only the facilitators, and we are not the ones who would actually be delivering education. We are more of facilitators, and our role is more that of making sure that there is higher order cognitive skills built into you. So that's pretty much about the 4 pillars of flip. And what I would do now is I would take you through all the 4 pillars in greater length, so that you can kind of visualize what is that flexible environment, what is that learning culture, what is that intentional content, and what is that about the professional educator. So getting to flexible environment, as I told you earlier, educators are only going to create that flexible spaces. You, the student, choose when and where you learn and how you learn and how much you learn and at what pace do you learn, right? At what pace, as in, like what's been easy to you, what's been difficult to you, whatever has been easy to you, you've spent little less time, but your friend might have felt whatever was easy to you as difficult. He or she would have spent a little more time on things that you spend a little less time. So students choose when and where they learn and how they learn, in what pace they learn. So that's part of the flexible environment. And then educators are also flexible in their expectations of student timelines for learning. Like you might have heard this notion that you have the slow learners and the advanced learners. The flexible environment actually sets an environment, sets a circumstance where the slow and the advanced learners come to the same level. And then the slow and the advanced learners are enthused accordingly, so that the learning happens actually at the same level, not at the level where advanced learners are conspicuously discouraging or creating that complex in slow learners. So that's again something that happens in the flexible environment. And then it's not just learning, it's also the flexibility of assessments. When I talk about assessments, here and hereafter throughout, I'll be dealing with assessments by both students themselves, that is self-assessment, as well as the assessments from the facilitators, the educators, teachers. And now flip is basically on the mode of gamification. If I tell you, like you all love your mobiles, which I mean, if this were to be a class, probably there would have been a resounding yes. Do you all love your mobiles? Yes. Okay, so what do you all love in your mobiles? Many things, but one of those many things is definitely games. Why do you love games? Why do you like games? You like games, think about this. You like games because each game at each level gives you a feedback as to how well did you do, what did you not do well. And as you continue gaming, you continually improve, and you continually improve because it's giving you feedback. So it's actually not that you were hating assessments all through. It is probably the structure of assessments that you were not really liking all through. If you have assessments which are continuous, if you have assessments which are self, you will probably learn more. So the flexible environment assessment is built on that notion of games giving you feedback, right? And then this is the first pillar of flip. The second is learning culture. So what is that? What is that about that learning culture? The learning culture is the one where you set what happens in the class, as in you have understood the elementary levels of learning a particular topic which is going to get discussed in the class, and the class time is dedicated to exploring higher order cognitive learning involved in that particular topic. So the culture has got to do with student centricity. The culture has got to do with higher order cognitive skills, and also that you will be actively involved in knowledge construction. What do we mean by knowledge construction? Knowledge construction is something where you are developing a research bent of mind. You are developing a scientific temperament and approach to the topic and to the area that you're studying as part of the learning culture within the flipped classroom. So the learning culture makes you the boss of the class in terms of setting the agenda, and also that it enables you to learn more, learn higher order things, and also that it facilitates that research bent of mind and cultivates that scientific temperament in you. So that's so much about the learning culture. Having seen the first two pillars of the flipped classroom, let's move on to the third and the fourth. The third pillar has to do with intentional content. I told you when we dealt with all these four together, intentional content has got to do with a content developed, designed to nudge you towards what? Towards complete understanding of concepts, right? When I say concepts, and when I say concepts as the elementary level of learning, don't belittle concepts. Concepts form the foundation. Concepts form that foundation of understanding. So it helps you understand the concepts, and it also helps you understand the procedural fluency, so that the teacher in the class need not spend a lot of time on teaching you concepts or the procedural fluency. So the intentional content is actually intended to maximize the class time to learn those things which are really part of higher order cognitive skills, higher order cognitive learning, so to say, and also that it helps you create your own learning strategy. You could strategize learning the way you would want to learn, the way you would want to move, the way you would want to develop an understanding, a passion, interest in whatever you're learning. And it's when I say, like whatever you learn, whatever each one of you learn, there's space for intentional content wherein like it can nudge each one of you the way your interests are, aptitudes are, so on and so forth. So that's about the intentional content. And then getting to the professional educator. Professional educators are those who, while using the content, also help you with very, very relevant feedback, and that feedback is something that makes you learn in an enhanced manner, and the educators are reflective in their practice in the sense that they would reflect upon the learning, and it's not that they have pre-planned the whole class beforehand. It's that as the classes happen, educators are reflective in the sense of changing their content, rising up to the level set by students in the class. And it's not just that, the professional educators who are involved in the flipped classroom are also the ones who would improve their instruction by connecting with the other teachers. And I'm very, very sure, as it has happened elsewhere in the world, you will have professional educators picking on very, very useful ways of flipping the class and then guiding the class to a really maximized learning. So those are these four pillars of flipped classroom. With this, I would now like to take you through the Bloom's taxonomy. We've been talking about the Bloom's taxonomy several times. I'd like to tell you a little about Benjamin Bloom's work on learning per se. Benjamin Bloom has been a very, very renowned educationist, He has been a researcher who has made a seminal contribution to the way learning happens. And yes, he broke down learning into different parts, like remembering, understanding, as you see on the slide. Remembering and understanding are supposed to be the levels of learning that happens at the conceptual level. And then in all practice-based education, you have applying, you have analyzing. Applying is something to do with practice-based education, as in, like you have some amount of practice-based education in all learning, all domains. So whatever you learn to apply. You learn to apply either for yourself or for the society at large, and mostly for the society at large. So applying and analyzing are slightly higher order learning elements or learning levels. And then you have evaluation and creation, or evaluating and creating, which perhaps are very, very high level cognitive skills, which is what Education 4.0 emphasizes on. As in, with AI/ML, the way we live, the way we transact businesses is going to be more at the level of creation, more at the level of evaluation. And then, it's all aggregated goods, aggregated services, aggregated commodities, as we see moving on. So putting back Bloom's level of learnings in flipped classroom in context, before the class, you would be doing remembering and understanding through the pre-read material. During the class, you would be doing applying and analyzing, and after the class, you would be doing evaluation and creation. So that's how the flipped classroom or remote learning or using ICT tools for learning in terms of even blended remote learning comprises. So I would now like to go to all these three stages specifically and tell you that there are different things involved in the pre-read, during the session, and post-read. What is the role of students in the pre-read? In the pre-read, you will have to obviously go through all of the pre-read content which is uploaded on the LMS. It could be a video, it could be newspaper clippings, articles, it could be audio bites, and so on and so forth. So it's not so much about just watching a video. It's about how to watch a video. When I say how to watch a video, it is so much about this being an interactive tool, and how do you use this interactive tool? How do you use this interactive tool in terms of play, pause, play? Where is it, play? Where is it pause? Where is it play? And how detailed notes are you taking? And as you take these notes, how do you build on that in the class? And similarly, how do you read an article in the similar vein? And how do you listen to an audio, make notes? And then, while even pre-reading, how do you assess yourself? And then when you assess yourself, you will know more about your learning handicaps and your learning interests. You could probably do something to aid your learning interest, at the same time, do something to overcome the learning handicap. So that's so much about pre-read. During the session, it's all very simple, straightforward things. You have done so much during pre-read, so you ask questions during the session. Ask questions, and these questions are again not the naive questions. What I mean by naive questions is, let's say, like during the face-to-face mode, you would ask a question, and after the class, you would think and then wonder if you should have asked this question differently. Now that you have pre-read, you have all the time in the world to frame the question the right way, and and the right questions would yield the right discussions. So that is how you can maximize the session, the knowledge that gets transacted in the session. And then you can analyze and apply and integrate. During the session itself, you could analyze, apply, and integrate. Earlier, you would do your elementary levels of learning, that of remembering, understanding in the class, and then go back, analyze, apply, and slowly increase the analysis application in the face-to-face classes. Now with the blended classes, you could analyze, apply, and integrate in the class, right? And then this bit is like very important. You can apply and pick on your teacher's brains. As in, Education 4.0 doesn't mean that teachers are going to become obsolete. Teachers are going to be there, but then their role is going to get redefined. Their role is going to get redefined to more of bringing in perspective to what you have learned, the questions that you ask. So then, we teachers are also going to evolve as the blended and flipped classroom gets in vogue, right? And then you could also discuss various different perspectives that a teacher could bring in through her or his experience. Through our experience, having seen things change over a period of 10, 15, 20 years, teachers would be able to bring in a different point of view. That is something you wouldn't get. So that's again something which you might want to do in the flipped classroom during the session. So then post-session, this is again something extremely important. It's not that you pre-read, you have the session, but then post-session, you could indulge in blogging, and blogging would help you think, blogging would help you organize your thoughts, and blogging would also help hone your writing skills. And blogging would also help you manage, teams, as in manage people who would respond to your blogs. So that's culminating your learning into something really more meaningful thing. And then you could peer learn through discussion forums. You could start cafes. You could have discussion forums, chat rooms for specific topics, so on and so forth. You could collaborate, you could create content, and collaboration and creation is something which you would do after a lot of learning in face-to-face learning. In remote learning, you could collaborate and create more and sooner, quicker. And then finally, in the post-session, you, with all this, could immerse yourself in the pool of knowledge and learn, enrich yourselves. So that's so much about the post-session. If you have questions, I'm sure you have some, please put them in the chat box. My colleagues would answer your questions. Thank you for your patient hearing. Thank you. All the best to you.
Thank you, Dr. Bhaira Reddy, sir, who has given the concepts of flipped classroom, Bloom taxonomy, how the things are working for the learning, blended learning, how you can adopt these terms and technology to improve your learning as well. So now we are moving ahead for the third session, and it is of various ICT tools. This session is especially recorded for ICT tools, how it will go along and how to enhance your learning. This is from Professor Andrew Day. He is the director of MIT University Online Education. So just have a look and just learn from this session also. Just now this is the last session of this orientation program of this effective learning. Now here is.
Hello students, my name is Professor Angel Day and I'm the Director of Amity University Online
Anyone
Education.
just confirm that?
On behalf of
audible
our
and
Visionary President Dr. Ashok Chauhan,
Audible, sir, audible.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I welcome all of you to this wonderful university. I believe the next few years of yours at Amity would really be fruitful and meaningful and would help you fulfill all your career aspirations. I wish all of you all the best for all your future endeavors. Today, I'm going to talk to you about technology as an enabler for effective learning and ICT tools used for teaching, learning, and assessment. So before I get into the nitty-gritties of remote learning and how do we use technology as an enabler for effective learning, or how do we use ICT tools for teaching, learning, assessment, what are their advantages, disadvantages, etc. Due to this pandemic, the world has really changed, and I really understand that a lot of you would be worried, a lot of you would be anxious that how is this new normal going to treat you in terms of your education in the college or this institution. But let me assure you of one thing, that at Amity, the culture is to ensure that we turn all the problems into different opportunities. So we have also turned this pandemic into opportunities for enhancing our education delivery in terms of remote teaching, and as well as lasting changes in the way that you are going to be taught even if you are back in campus. So there is no need to worry about that, and we definitely feel that you would enjoy your entire time at Amity with us. So the points for discussion today would be, I would try to acquaint you towards the different types of ICT-enabled teaching and the learning processes. I will acquaint you about some interesting statistics about learning using ICT, so that your worry that you have is alleviated. And then we're going to talk about the framework of remote learning and assessment in an outcome-based approach that is being followed in the university. Then I would talk to you about the flipped mode of classroom teaching and learning, which many of my previous speakers have already talked about. And I would also acquaint you to the 4 quadrants approach of learning content and also teaching and learning delivery. And finally, I will try and help you visualize how your new classes in the remote environment look like, and what are the different popular tools, etc., that would be used, and so that you get a feeling of what is in store for you. So if you look at this infographic that is there in front of you, the first one, here we are talking about the usage of digital technology between the face-to-face teaching and in the distance or the remote mode of teaching. Now, if you look at this graphic very carefully, you'll see that if you look at a normal brick and mortar classroom, so there's what happens there, chalk and talk. So which means you go and sit in the class. There's a faculty member who would come and acquaint you with certain concepts, and there would be no use of technology. Now slowly that has transformed, and now we have started using, and many of you would have definitely experienced different use of technology and the classroom technologies that have been used to enhance and aid the teaching learning process that is there. So with more use of digital technologies for teaching and learning, we then move towards something called blended learning, which is the best of the 2 worlds, which is done in face-to-face mode or done in the online mode. And if we move further towards the right and we don't use any human interaction, and it's completely 100% online. That is also another mode of teaching and learning that happens. However, we would restrict ourselves to the center, which is the blended and the remote teaching learning, where we are taking the best of the both worlds, where we are going to have computer aided or ICT aided remote teaching and learning using different state-of-the-art technologies and methodologies in which the remote teaching would happen to you. But at your end, it's not going to be so complex. It would be something as simple as the figure that I've given below. That is, you just log into a portal, you get access to certain learning resources, some assignments which you need to do offline, then you come online to a video chat or a online learning environment. And finally, once you have done that, you get into the different assignments that have been allocated to you in the learning platform. You attend those assignments and submit them and then get evaluated out of that. So it's going to be pretty straightforward for you. So there's no need to worry on that. Now going forward, before I get into and delve into much further details, let us acquaint ourselves with some very, very interesting statistics about learning using technology. Now, there was a very interesting survey done by Tata McGraw-Hill. I'm sure you must be aware of Tata McGraw-Hill, that they are one of the elitist and most respected publishers across the world. So the McGraw-Hill Education, it did a partnership with the US Hanover Research, and they surveyed around more than 3,000 students and got their inputs on the preferences of digital education. Now, in the study, there are very interesting facts that came out. So in this study, around 81% of the students, they say that digital learning technology has actually helped them boost their grades. 71% of the students said that they were able to engage more with the digital course material. 97% of the students, they found the adaptive learning technology very, very helpful in retention of the content. 84% of the students, they say that the digital learning would enhance their knowledge. Around 45% of the students wanted to learn on a personal device. That could be a laptop, or it could be a mobile phone, or it could be a tablet, etc. 78% of the students confess that the digital learning is actually helping them improve their computer skills and understanding. And 79% of the students actually say that the adaptive learning quizzes and textbooks are actually helping them in understanding and learning better. So that is one aspect, the student's aspect. So in a nutshell, the approximately more than 4 out of 5 students, they agreed that the digital learning technology can, around 84% of them say improve their education, 81% of them they say that they save their time, and around the same number they say that the use of digital learning technology can actually boost their grades as well. So with that interesting input, let us look at some other factors as well. Now let us see some out of this world e-learning facts. Now this is a combination of the different surveys that has been done across the corporates where you're going to be placed tomorrow, and also the student community. So if you look at the 3 very important facts, that the e-learning produces around 85% fewer carbon dioxide emissions per student than conventional face-to-face course. 64% of the learners find it important to have training materials that they can access via their mobile phone. And the most interesting fact, the point is, the e-learning increases the retention rates by 25 to 60%, while the retention rates across the traditional teaching and learning are pretty low, in comparison. That is, it is approximately 8 to 10%. So according to the people who have been surveyed, that their retention capacity has actually improved the usage of digital learning technologies or e-learning technologies in their learning process. So with this interesting facts, let's move forward. Now let's look at the framework that that would be followed for the remote learning and assessment and the outcome-based education. You would have heard about the outcomes-based education from many of my previous colleagues who have spoken to you. Now, if you look at that in entirety and look at the how this entire thing would actually work. So if you look at your classroom, it would have two major parts. One is the asynchronous part, and one is the synchronous part. And majority of the synchronous part would be blended in nature. So, and you would have a particular outcome of a particular topic that is being taught to you. So by outcome, what I meant is that after learning that particular topic, that is the objective that you would meet. So before getting into the class, there would be a set of diagnostic assessments where you would pre-read certain things and then follow it up with check your understanding kind of set of questions. So these assessments and the tasks would be delivered to you by your faculty member via the e-learning platform that we have. Then you would be using the assessment tools and and then you would definitely come to a synchronous learning environment where you would be interacting with the content, interacting with your teacher, and interacting with your fellow peers and students. So this entire thing would happen in a remote and online mode where you will be using virtual classrooms to attain enhanced face-to-face learning. So that this is going to be a very, very interesting approach in learning in today's world. And believe me, if you look around the world, a lot of the advanced, teaching learning processes are following the same approach. So it would be really interesting for you to, come to the class with some knowledge, then have a better understanding and higher order of discussion within the class, and then take it forward to the assessments that are given to you. So what we talked about is essentially something which is technically called the flipped mode of teaching and learning, or the flipped classroom mode. So here the class is actually divided between two aspects. One is the out of the class activities, the second is the in-class activities. Most of the out of the class activities would happen in the asynchronous mode. Some of them would happen before the class, some of them would happen during the class, and some of them would happen after the class. So if you look at the infographics on the top, most of the most of the topics that are or activities that happen during the class would actually happen in the synchronous mode. So in class, so before the class, you would definitely be given some acclimatization to the new concepts. So you'll be given some reading materials, some videos that you need to watch, and some digital media that you can refer to. There would be an e-library where you can reference different other materials as well, apart from watching the videos, and acclimatize yourself and jot down the questions for further discussion. Once you're in class, then you have a one-on-one discussion with the faculty member. You clear your doubts. You have a better understanding and better discussion about the application of this concept, and have a much more meaningful and fruitful discussion rather than the teacher just coming to you and teaching you about the concept. Finally, once you have completed the class, you come back to your learning portal again, and you continue to check your understanding, concepts, to the different higher order questions and applications and evaluations that will be given to you. So in a nutshell, if you look at the figure at the bottom, In a flip learning mode, the teacher would create a video lecture and share it with the students. The teacher would facilitate discussions, and the teacher would answer the questions and the doubts that the students have. And for the students, the responsibilities would be they would need to definitely look at the lectures that has been recorded for them, prepare for the questions that they need to ask for the teacher or with the teacher, ask the questions during the interactive mode, and finally participate in all the learning activities that are happening. So this in a nutshell would be the way that you would be taught in your classes in this new normal. Now, the content that we are talking about before the class would actually be administered or given to you, or would be structured in a very structured manner using 4 quadrants. So when I talk about 4 quadrants, the quadrant 1 is actually the video lecture that is going to be given to you by the faculty. It would also be accompanied by different virtual labs, some video demonstrations, etc., etc. Now the quadrant 2 would actually predominantly be your reading material. So there would be a lot of instructional material that would be given to you. There's class notes, some ebooks, some related links, some open source content, etc. So there would be a lot of reading material that will be given to you. In quadrant 3, you would be encouraged to discuss among your peers, clarify your doubts with the faculty, or co-learn with your peers, and in a real-time basis, and the faculty would be there to assist you through that. And finally, once you have done that, in between you have also attended your classes, you come to the quadrant 4, which is a self-assessment, where there will be different question and answer that will be provided to you, which would actually help you understand your progress, your learning, and identify if there is still any gaps which you need to go back to your teacher and seek his or her help on. So this is essentially how your remote teaching and learning environment could look like. So essentially, this would be a conglomeration of different tools that will be used for different kind of scenarios. So there will be tools which will be content specific. There could be tools that would be used by the faculty to monitor your progress and manage your data. There will be different video conferencing tools like the ones that we're using right now for MS Teams, where the teacher would interact to you directly through the remote environment. And there would be tools where the different homework assignments, etc., would be given to you, and these tools would be used by you to answer those queries that have been posted to you. And there would be different other tools for that would be used by the teacher or yourself for taking notes, etc. So this is essentially going to be the remote teaching and learning environment using the different tools that are there. So let us now look at different popular tools that you would majorly see within that are being used by your faculty members. So you will be first of all seeing the Amity LMS, where the major portion of the content in the 4 quadrants would be given to you. Then you'll be seeing tools like Wakelet, etc., for different disciplines, where the content would be shared with you. So the content would essentially be shared using your learning management system, as well as Wakelet and different other tools that we'll just see. And now coming to the short assessments and the quizzes, etc. So there would be different tools like Mentimeter, quizzes, your LMS content, Microsoft Forms, etc., that would be given to you, and there will be different interesting types of quizzes that would be administered. It would simply not just be simple MCQs, etc., which you would enjoy and have an interaction while you are having interaction with that too. Now moving forward, you would have class notes that you need to take. So you would majorly be using Microsoft OneNote. within your Microsoft Teams environment. And there would be different sections in that, like the practical notebook, assignments, quizzes, homework, class notes, etc., that would be given to you, or which would be accessible to you depending on the different kind of scenarios or the different domains that you belong to. So these would definitely be used for sharing study material to upload and receive the different assignments that are given, for conducting short quizzes for the students, and for submitting your practicals, etc. Now, moving forward, your live class, as I said, that you majorly be using Microsoft Teams for doing your live class, where there will be a calendar where your classes will be scheduled. You need to come to that class, have interaction with the faculty and your peers, and understand the concepts or clarify the concepts that you have already done in the previous, and have a better discussion with the faculty as well as your peers, and have a higher order of discussion in the class. Then there would be different tools like this Microsoft Whiteboard. So if there are any topics which would need some graphical output to be given, or some mathematical formula, some graphs, etc., to be given by faculty or taught by the faculty, so they will be using whiteboards like Microsoft Whiteboard, etc. Then there would also be different quick polls, surveys, different kind of assignments that would be given to you, as I mentioned earlier also. So there would be different kind of polls or voting which can be done through tools like Mentimeter, Padlet, Microsoft Forms, Poly, etc., etc. So there would be important different tools like these which would be used for this kind of environment. So with that, we come to the end of the making you acquainted with the different kind of tools that are there. Now, if you have any questions, we would be happy to answer those questions. So I would request all of you to type your questions in the chat box below, and we'd be definitely be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Andrew Day, for your session. You have delivered about the ICT tool, various ICT tools for blended learning and for the virtual classroom. You have nicely covered all these aspects like MS Classroom, whiteboards, Padlets, Poly, Mentimeter, Quiz. So these are different ICT platform you have nicely delivered. As our three key speakers, those who have discussed, first of all, Pravisi sir discussed about the passive teaching and open classroom. Second session is on flipped classroom, flexible environment, learning culture, international content, and professional educator. So these were the concept and thoughts. Next was the Bloom's technology, Bloom's taxonomy. So use these concepts for enhance your learning. I hope that you will incorporate all these things in your study and improve your learning aspects. Thank you for learning. Stay, my blessings are stay at home, keep yourself and family safe, keep learning and progressing. Thank you very much, all those who are present in this session. Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much. Dr. Goswami.
Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It was a very nice session on ICT tools and new technology that has been used in teaching and learning process. I believe student must have got insight of what we are going to deliver in once you enter into the academic environment. Now this session is over. Now there is a break up to 2 o'clock, and you are supposed to again rejoin on a link which has already been shared with you at 2 o'clock for another important session that is on student welfare and discipline and conduct, followed by 3 sessions on value addition courses. which is very, very important for you, as these value addition courses are the credit courses in your program structure. So you must gain the prerequisite and pre-information before you enter into the course curriculum. So thank you very much. Wish you all the best, and we will wait you at 2 o'clock. So Goswami, Dr. Goswami, we should proceed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please. Thank you, sir.